Tonight's slate for MLB DFS is one that's kind of sneakily trashy is the way that I would phrase it, because we do have some good pitchers for tonight. We got Garrett Cole, we've got Kevin Gausman, we've got Frankie Montas, and those guys are good pitchers, but they all have red flags. They all have reasons for concern. They all have reasons why we can't be like, yes, just load up on this guy and don't look back. And that's a pretty decent sized concern. So we're going to sort through things today, take your questions on air, and get you set for tonight's slate of MLB DFS. This is the FanDuel Live Q&A right here on the FanDuel YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, and Twitter channels. My name is Jim Sonis. I am a senior writer and analyst for numberfire.com, here to get you set for tonight's slate of MLB DFS by taking your questions live on air. As always, no matter where you are watching, you can get your questions in for today. We'll take them via Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter. Does not matter. No matter where you're watching, get those questions in. And also make sure you're subscribed on your platform of choice so you can get notifications as we go live each and every day, especially as we approach NFL season, where we'll have a jam-packed slate here. As always, make sure you are subscribed. Tomorrow, PGA is back with Brandon as well, talking about the Northern Trust. So feel free to fire away at that. 3:30 p.m. tomorrow. MLB will be at 4 p.m. Let's start things off here by talking to Salvatore Mundi, who says money time, and also saying welcome back. Salvatore, I'm not sure what your profession is, but if you're not a painter, you should have been with that name. Tremendous painting artist name there. Aaron says, hey, Jim, let's get it. Hey, Aaron, hello, welcome back. DJ says Griffin Jax or Touki Toussaint. Jax is not a big enough strikeout guy for me. He's been pitching, like I would say, underratedly well recently. This is over his past 5 starts, or I guess the 5 starts since he came back in the rotation full time. 4.79 skill interactive ERA. That's not as bad as perception. 20% strikeout rate. The reason I'm okay avoiding is because not a lot of strikeouts, does let up a lot of fly balls, so I'm not there. Toussaint, though, does grade out well facing the Marlins for today. Definitely a team we want to target. 84 WRC plus versus righties. Pretty low walk team. They strike out plenty. 3rd highest strike area in the slate. So to me, Toussaint is the guy there, but also the top value pitcher on tonight's slate. Our next 2 questions on Facebook from Danny and Brad, they kind of go hand in hand. Danny is asking for the top 2 stacks for today, and Brad says, do you stack the Padres or take a top pitcher? So I'll start with Danny here. The stacks are both the teams at Coors Field. However, that's tough to get to when we're talking about Kevin Gausman checking in at $10,300 for tonight. So you do have to choose. And I think that the way that Brad phrased that is correct. Do you go with the Padres or do you go with the top pitcher? I would say what I want to do, Brad, is kind of take the coward's way out and do a little compromise here and go Frankie Montas, because he's $9,400. I do like him a lot for tonight, just because he's been so good recently. Really tough matchup against the White Sox, and I don't want to use pitchers against them very often, but I think Montas himself, good enough to make an exception here. 30% strikeout rate over his past 10 starts with more splitters, 3.38 skill interactive ERA. So I think that it's viable to go Montas plus Padres. $3,200 left. That's going to mean you're going to need a second value stack with that team, but I think we can make that work. So I would say get Montas and the Padres, or you could also go Montas and the Rockies and load up on them, because the Rockies' salaries actually are not that bad for tonight. Nobody higher than $4,000, only 2 guys about $3,500. You can stack Montas with the Rockies very easily. Let's just show you here a couple of guys we can lock in at pretty low salaries. Should be a good spots in the order. We do that. $3,260 left. That means I can go to either Story or Crone, depending on who I prefer there. Let's go with Story. $30.75 left. That works easily. So, Brad, I would say either Montas, Padres in a value stack, or Montas, Rockies, and, a mid-range stack for that second one. I think that should work pretty well. So if I'm choosing between the Padres and a high-priced pitcher, I might go with the high-salary pitcher in this instance, just because I'm okay jumping down to Montas from Gausman for tonight. Savon is asking, how do you feel about Oakland for tonight? I saw you ask me that on Twitter, Savon. I'm sorry I forgot to respond. I got caught up answering other stuff. My bad. I should have responded, but I forgot. They're facing Dallas Keuchel. I think that's a situation we can feel okay going at. It's also the A's on the road as opposed to at home. That's always a good thing, given how bad their home park is for offense. The peripherals for Keuchel say we can stack against him, but because he has at times been a batted ball outlier, I do put some more value in the results with him than for other people. So let's pull up the results here for Keuchel, see what he's been doing recently, and see what we can think of him overall. I will say that the A's do get downgraded with no Ramon Laureano because he was kind of one of the key guys you would turn to when they were facing a lefty. So let's pull up the salaries here for the A's while that page is pulling up and check out the results against Keuchel in this sample. This is over his past 6 starts with fewer changeups and more sliders. Okay, so it looks like Keuchel's trying to increase his strikeout rate. In that time, 4.58 ERA, did let up 4 runs to the Twins, 5 to Cleveland, 4 to the Royals. Hasn't faced the toughest competition this time and is still let up a 4.58 ERA. Let's see what the StatCast numbers look like here. Decent amount of hard contact. The launch angle is okay. High barrel rate against. So that's not bad. I think we can actually justify stacking the A's here pretty easily. Salaries on the A's, they're not super low, but they're also not super high. Depends on if Gomes or Murphy plays. If Murphy does get the start, $2,500 is a really good number for him. So I'd be behind that. So I think the A's work. I'm there for sure. The problem is there are a lot of good stacks for today. I think that they're not a bad one. So I'm definitely on board Savon, but I would say there are a lot of good options for today. Jackie over on Twitch is saying, heck of a return for Tatis. Yeah, 2 homers last night. Pretty good. He seems good at baseball. My hot take there. Should we stack the Padres tonight? Yes, if you can. And I think that if you're stacking the Padres, it pretty much locks you into using Toussaint as your pitcher. Touki Toussaint, $7,900. That's fine. I think he's okay for sure, but it does mean you're probably not getting Gausman, probably not getting Montas. So probably locking in Toussaint, which is fine. Again, I think Toussaint's good, but it is definitely a downgrade. Let's talk to Andrew Pregler. Talk to Andy over on YouTube. Thoughts on McHugh for tonight? He's pretty much, I'm sure, purely an opener. It sounds like Josh Fleming is going to be the primary pitcher for the Rays for today. I actually have Fleming still on my sheet still because I would bet that McHugh goes like 2 or so innings tonight and then gives way to Fleming. Mark Topkin reported that Fleming would be the primary pitcher, get the bulk innings for tonight for the Rays. So I would jump over McHugh. As far as Fleming goes, not enough strikeouts. So I would say both Rays pitchers off the map for me for today. Let's talk to Savon. Thoughts about these low salary pitchers, Wade Miley, Josh Fleming, and Griffin Jack. So talking about Fleming here, I don't think any of them get enough strikeouts for me. Miley's actually been really bad recently. I know the matchup is great versus the Cubs, but he's been rough. This is over his past 5 starts with fewer cutters, 16% strikeout rate, a lot of walks. Not touching that, not touching Jacks, not touching Fleming. I would say Toussaint, kind of the way to go at the value pitcher for today. Let's talk to Julius. What's your top 2 pitchers for tonight? I missed Julius here. Let's see here. Julius asking for top 2 pitchers. I think that it's Gausman 1, Montas 2. But if you get in a situation where you really want the Padres, I think it is okay to jump down to Toussaint. I would say that those 3 are in the same tier. The reason Cole is not as high for me is because I'm worried about pitch count coming out the COVID IL. He was there due to a positive test and not because of close contact. It means he had a very serious virus. That's kind of scary for a guy who's been out for about 2 weeks now. So I'm worried about pitch count on Cole, still ranking him below those 3 guys. So top pitchers for me are Gausman and Montas, but Toussaint right there as well. Eric on Facebook, favorite pitcher, hitter or favorite hitter for tonight, favorite pitcher. I think I'm leaning Montas, I guess, just because of the salary savings, and I think he'll be less popular than Gausman, which is good. Favorite hitter, that's a tough one. I kind of like Connor Joe relative to salary, $2,900 at Coors Field, platoon advantage. So I think that Connor Joe, my favorite hitter overall for tonight. Jackie's asking about stacking the Reds for tonight. They're facing Justin Steele. They're much worse against lefties than against righties. So I think they're fine. They're not going to grade out super high for me because there's just a lot of good stacks for today, but it's Cincinnati. Balls can fly there for sure. It's a fine stack, but I'd rank them below other ones we talked about so far. Aaron says, I like that call. Montas over Toussaint, though. $1,500 savings. Yeah, I mean, like, you could definitely talk yourself into Toussaint. The reason that I prefer to go with Montas over Toussaint, despite the fact their matchups are a lot tougher, or the matchup for Montas is a lot tougher, and despite the fact that Toussaint is lower salaries, I just feel better about the performance for Montas. This is a 10-start sample against a lot of tough competition. He faced the Astros in Houston and had 10 strikeouts. So I feel better about the overall quality of pitching from Montas than I do about Toussaint. That's why I prefer to spend up for him. But again, I think they're in the same tier. So I would not fault you at all if you decide to go with Toussaint over Montas. Let's talk to DJ on Facebook. Do I keep riding Frank Schwindel and add Patrick Wisdom, or do you think they're due to slump like the entire team's loss record as a whole? If you're talking season long, I'm probably not the right guy to ask, but they're facing Wade Miley. Those guys could be interesting, but I think overall team context lowers the appeal in everyone in that lineup just because they're going to get fewer plate appearances. You need guys around them to produce, get on base, extend the game. They're probably not going to do that. So I think that they're fine, but not guys I'm seeking out for today. Alvin is asking for a priority in the Rockies lineup. Let's see if the Rockies lineup is in here. I'm guessing this is just a general question. Let's see. Oh, it is actually out. Okay, so all of them. All these are good. Connor Joe is the priority for me for today for the Rockies, facing off with the lefty Weathers. Rogers, borderline priority. He's probably number 2 up there. Really good numbers for Rogers versus lefties. Connor Joe, small sample, 46 plate appearances, but good power numbers. Love it. Low strikeout rate. Rogers, similar, low sample, but 338 ISO in that small sample versus lefties. And ISO is a number that stabilizes more quickly than other numbers. So I would say Joe and Rogers are 2 priorities for me. Diaz has slowed down from his power binge, but still a guy who has overall good power numbers, 184 ISO versus lefties, 46% fly ball rate. So I think that all 3 of those guys would work. If we're talking about ranking them, I would say Joe 1, Connor Joe 1, Rogers 2, and then I'd probably go with CJ Cron over Trevor Story. So then Cron 3, Story 4, Diaz 5, and then I'm not going to get super excited about Blackman. Not going to get super jazzed about McMahon. So to me, the rankings are Joe, Rogers, Cron, Story, Diaz for the Rockies for today. As far as Daza goes, 097 ISO, no thanks. So those are the 5 guys I really want to target for the Rockies for today, and I think all their salaries are very, very reasonable. Salvatore is asking over on YouTube, I scroll past it again, is it a must to a 4-player team stack in GPPs? Recent winning lineups all over the place. It's not a must. However, if you look at the highest upside lineups, my colleague at Numberfire, Kenyatta Storin, did a piece on this for Numberfire last year. If you look at the highest scoring combinations, they're all 4-player stacks, whether it be a 4-player stack with a 4-player stack, a 4-player stack with a 2-player stack, another 2-player stack, 4-player stack with a 3-player stack, et cetera, et cetera. It's almost always 4 players at the top. So you're going to have nights where the winning tournament lineup doesn't follow that. I would say if you're trying to maximize expected value, I would do a 4-player stack in each lineup. And I try to get 4-player stacks, 2 of them in one lineup, or, go 4-3-1, stuff like that. So I would still lean that way. SN Brennan 8 on YouTube. Who are you bigger on tonight, the Reds or the Giants? I actually like the Giants a lot, partly because I'd expect them to be less popular. Facing Rich Hill, no name, but a guy who's struggled recently, low strikeout rate, a lot of fly balls. I think the Giants are a pretty good option for today. So give me the Giants in that scenario. John actually asked on YouTube, favorite stack that's likely overlooked. I would say that is the Giants. So both for SN Brennan and for John, give me the Giants, the team that should go overlooked, but I do like for tonight. Let's talk to Rudney. Tatis or Castellanos, about the same salary, one chalk, one not, bigger upside, worried about the ground ball rate from the Colorado pitcher. Yeah, so Senzatela does get ground balls, 28% fly ball rate from Senzatela over his past 7 outings with more fastballs and fewer sliders. That definitely is a factor. So you could make that case for sure. I would say, though, that Justin Steele does project to be a guy who gets some ground balls as well for the Cubs. So I think for me, I'd still go Tatis over Castellanos, in part because I just feel a lot better about the Padres than the Reds. But you can make that case for sure. And I think that the data you're talking about makes sense, but I would say that that is also in play for Castellanos, given Steele's ground ball rate he's had previously. Aaron says he likes Montas going at least 6 innings. Greater chance than Tukey. I'd agree with that as well. Michael, any interest in your Twins as a value stack? Can I still call them my Twins? Are they even Twins anymore? I mean, Byron's not back yet. Once Byron's back, they can be my Twins again. Probably not, because Quantrill does a good job of suppressing our contact. This is over his past 8 starts, more 4-seamers. Just a 35% hard hit rate, 32% fly ball rate. I'm okay skipping over the Twins for today. Renee on YouTube, how about Cole at 80 to 90 pitches? I think that's a fair question, because he can do a lot of work in that. I would say, though, that I feel a lot better about pitch count projection for Montas. He's a good pitcher. Gosman's a good pitcher with upside. And Cole is also much higher salary than them. And I want to spend up today. So Renee, if it were a slate where there weren't a lot of high salaried stacks I wanted, maybe I would go Cole there. Maybe, just try to get in on him while people are elsewhere. But for today specifically, I'm okay passing up. But I think that's a good question. I think you asked a good question there, Renee. Aaron, I'm scratching my head on push in Oakland-Chicago game. 4.5 on implied total for both teams. Oakland should rough up Keuchel. Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of the reason why I like Montas, because people will value the implied total against him and be like, 4.5 was pretty high. Don't want to go there. For me, I don't care as much about that because I want upside. Montas has that given the strikeout rate. So I think it's fair to scratch your head. I think that's part of the reason why I do like Montas for today. Savon is asking thoughts on Houston, Yankees, and Cleveland stacks. Yankees facing Jose Suarez, another guy who does a decent job of suppressing hard contact. 6 starts, 34% hard hit rate, 30% fly ball rate. The Yankees much better versus lefties and righties, though. So I think they're okay. Okay is the word I would use there. Purposefully. Astros facing Carlos Hernandez, definitely okay with going there for today. Hernandez, not a bad pitcher, but they're a very good team. So Houston, my favorite among those options. Cleveland facing Jacks, I would say maybe like we could look to them potentially for some value. I'm not super big into targeting Jacks. Has been pretty good recently, but I would say the Astros among those teams, definitely the one I want to get to, then the Yankees, and then Cleveland. Let's talk to, wow, I'm way behind. Sorry here, guys. Salvatore's asking chances of FanDuel weekend shows. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Won't be me because I work during the weekdays, but maybe. You never know. Let's see here. John, who is the best value stack for today? Okay, I think the Rays actually grade out pretty well there. Facing Matt Harvey, I don't know if we can deem this as being a value stack, but they have some value guys, I guess I would say. Jimon Choi specifically is pretty low salaried. Austin Meadows low salaried too. So I think the Rays grade out pretty well there. Danny is looking for the best cheap value hitter for the utility slot. Depends on how cheap you're looking. I think that Jimon Choi would work if you're okay going with like $2,500 or so. Otherwise, let's see here if there are any other lineups that are out that we can squeeze out some value from. No. No. Oh my goodness. Actually, Ryan O'Hearn could work. I'm guessing he's pretty low salaried. He is $2,500. Okay, so I'd prefer Choi over him. But I think that looking at that $2,500 range, Choi and O'Hearn could be guys with a dinger upside you could turn to there. Savon's saying he's going to stack Cleveland, Cincinnati, and probably Atlanta. I want to be different today. Yeah, there's always value in being different. And I think that on this slate, given how many good stacking options there are, you can be different without being stupid. So Savon, that's definitely in play for today. Mateo's asking, what for the top 3 most popular offenses on FanDuel for today? So if we're trying to determine roster rates and stuff like that, just go over here to the number fire games and lineups page, check out the heat map, and sort by implied total. That'll almost always tell you which teams will have the highest roster rates for that day. San Diego, Colorado, and Cincinnati look like they'll be pretty popular. I would say if you're looking for a team lower on this order, the Rays grade out well for me. The Giants grade out pretty well. I would say those are the teams that may go overlooked based on this. So I would say Rays and Giants for me. Jackie saying you guys should do a Madden tournament amongst the hosts in the stream. Shorten the quarter so it doesn't take too long. We did like simulations last year where I had to do like play-by-play. It was bad. I'd sit down on my seat for like 2 hours straight and my butt got very sweaty. So as long as I'm not involved, Jackie, I'm in. I'm also pretty bad at Madden. So there's that as well. Aaron says Diaz a nice value on FanDuel. I'm guessing this is Elias Diaz. I agree. Let's see here. DJ, thoughts on Bradley Zimmer? No. I can't get there. He's not done enough for me. So I'm out. Eric, thoughts on Machado? I like the Padres, so I like Machado. I know the numbers for Machado have not been as good recently, but the advanced number is still pretty solid. So I think that Machado, he also does benefit from having Tatis back in the order. So definitely think that Machado is someone to turn to, despite the fact he has been in a slump. Savon, how would you rate the Giants? I think that if like you're looking for a way to be different without being stupid, which is the thing we were talking about before, I do think that they are a good way to do so. So I would say pretty high from if you're trying to be different, Savon. I think that they're decent. I would say they're still below the Coors teams for me, but they're pretty high on my list for sure. Savon also asked about the Yankees. Yankees facing Suarez, again, good at contact suppression, but a low strikeout rate, so they're in play. They're definitely below the Giants for me, below the Dodgers, and below the Astros after the Rockies team. Alvin, when picking the Padres bats, is it best to look for batters with low ground ball rates? I think that's a good rule in general. Nothing to do with the Padres or facing Senzatela. I think it's just a good rule in general because ground balls suck. They're terrible. I don't want any ground balls. They're hideous. So we go over here to the Padres. I think that your point is correct, Alvin, in talking about it with relation to Senzatela because he gets so many ground balls. But I think just as a broader point, that's why fly ball rate is something that I have featured pretty prominently here. Frazier's never a big power guy, but most of the other guys do put the ball in the air. Pham has a pretty low fly ball rate, but he steals bases. So although his fly ball rate's lower, I still like it. That's why I'd be lower on Hosmer, not as big of a stolen base guy, not a big fly ball guy. So Alvin, in this specific scenario, yes, but also more broadly, yes, as well. Kyle, any outfielders around $2,600 or lower that stand out as a one-off? Okay, let's go over here and check out the outfielders. Scroll down to $2,600. And I'm scrolling slow. Sorry. A little delayed here. My bad. Austin Hayes facing Fleming. Meh. Upton facing Cole. Meh. Nah. Haven't seen a Rays lineup yet. Occasionally Brett Phillips plays. He has weirdly good numbers against righties this year. So no Rays lineup yet, but keep an eye on him. I could potentially consider him. No to Zimmer. Daza could work. I know it's a pretty low situation. Darren Ruff, I want to look into plate appearances for him because he's one of the guys who could leave early due to a pinch hitter once the lefty is no longer in the game. So let's look at Ruff and then look at the starts he has made and see how long he stays in the game for the games he does start. Let's go to the game log here once it pulls up. Okay. So he started there 4-3, 4-5, 4-3. He actually does play pretty long in the game. So Ruff might work there. Still a little bit concerned given that he could leave the game early. Same thing with Slater. So keep that in mind for sure. Chas McCormick. Actually, they're facing a lefty tomorrow, not today. But still, I think that Chas McCormick has power versus righties and lefties. So I'd be fine with him as well. I think he has a couple options down here. And I think that those would be the main ones I would turn to. And you should be able to make that work for sure. Salvatore, which mid-tier value pitcher has the highest fly ball rate? I'll let you know. Okay, so if we're looking at a mid-tier pitcher, basically we're lopping off Cole and we're lopping off Gausman and Montas. Highest fly ball rate in each guy's most relevant sample, Griffin Jacks and Rich Hill have the highest fly ball rates among the mid-range guys. Odorizzi is definitely up there too. So those are the guys you would turn to if you're just maximizing fly balls. They would say they would turn there. Eric is saying he's in Cleveland and storming bad right now. Oopsies. Didn't mean to do that. Let's go back over here. And let's check out the rain. Yeah, Cincinnati looks like could have some rain. I know that I think DJ had mentioned that before. That's a rain spot. So make sure you check out what Kevin Roth and Roto Grinder says about that game. In that game, that's the weather will probably be in Cincinnati later on. So I would check the weather in Cincinnati if you want to stack that team. Eric is asking for the thoughts on the Dodgers. Yes, I think that they do work facing Steven Brault. He's been pretty good in his first two games back, but the velocity is down pretty low, letting up a lot of hard contact, not getting a ton of strikeouts. So the Dodgers definitely work. Didn't touch on them in a team that could go overlooked, but I mean, I think if people turn to the Reds, Rockies, and Padres, they might. So I think the Dodgers definitely work. and I could see myself getting to them. The problem is they're not going to save me any salary, and I kind of want to save some salary if I'm not going with the Padres or the Rockies because I want to stack those teams. AJ Pollock's undersalaried, so definitely take a look at him. Will Smith, I would guess, won't play today. He's caught 3 straight games, so he'd probably sit, I would think, at some point. Just not a lot of low-salary guys here. That's the one downside with the Dodgers. Savon also asked about them. Tim was asking for 2 teams to the money line. I think we're going to lean towards the A's there as being a team we could like. And then, yeah, I think the A's at plus, or actually the A's are at minus 112. I think that one works out pretty well. A's at minus 112 is intriguing. Don't want that. I know that the Astros matchup or, pitching Odorizzi is not ideal, but I think that minus 148 in the Astros is actually pretty enticing too. So that's the Astros and the A's are the teams I would turn to there. Savon, lately the pitchers have been my problem. I would get negative points from them because too many earned runs. I'm going to focus on those 3 pitchers that you said. Yeah, I think that at pitcher in general, you do want to make sure that you have a tight core because in general, there aren't going to be a lot of pitches you actually want to use. Like look at the limited amount of green on this sheet. You've got Cole on a pitch count. You've got Toussaint in a good matchup. Definitely okay with that. You got Montas, Gausman, Dodgers doing a bullpen game, Brault, rough matchup. Like there aren't a lot of guys we actually want to use. So I'm okay, Savon, having the 3 guys for tonight in my pool be Toussaint, being Gausman and being Montas and excluding everyone else. You want to be tight there. It's more predictable. So I'd say focus on a small number of pitchers and then differentiate more so with your stacks. DJ is asking, are the Dodgers a bullpen game? Yes, they are. So don't use the Dodgers pitcher. And their bullpen's pretty good. Pirates pretty bad. So I'd say that's a stay away on both sides there. Eric, if you can get 3 hitters to hit home runs tonight, who would be your 3? Fernando Tatis is 1. I'm going to go Connor Joe 2 is like the fun one on the Rockies. And then if we're going to do a non-Coors one, a non-Coors hitter to hit a home run tonight, I like Austin Meadows facing Matt Harvey. Harvey has been much better recently, to his credit. But I do think that we can still use batters facing him, especially lefties. Lefties get a lot of fly balls, a lot of hard contact against him. So the official 3 home run picks for today, Fernando Tatis, Connor Joe, and Austin Meadows, the 3 home run calls for today. That is all that we have here on the FanDuel Live Q&A for this Monday. But do not forget, we are back once again tomorrow. Brandon Gadula has you covered for the Northern Trust at 3:30. I'll be on at 4 p.m. to talk MLB DFS. Make sure you are subscribed to the FanDuel YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, or Twitter page. Wherever you're watching, hit subscribe and come back once again tomorrow as well. If you have additional questions for me, I am on Twitter at Jim Sannes, JimSannes. Big thank you to Joy Affleck, our video producer, for running the video side of things here today. Thank you, Joy, as always. And thank you to everyone for tuning in. Good luck to you tonight. We'll talk to you once again tomorrow. This has been the FanDuel Live Q&A.